Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining the session. Happy to see you here. I'm founder of CureVac, an RNA company, and maybe I'm also the founder of the RNA technology itself. It was a PhD work of mine. My forward-looking statement is that I'm not anymore with CureVac, so anything what I'm talking about business is not validated and shouldn't be there. I just talk about the RNA technology itself, and really happy that talking about a big issue. First of all, innovation, because I'm an innovation guy. You know, we were the first developing the RNA itself in the world. So therefore, I'm really into innovation because I think it's very important for us Europeans to innovate. And we were a big innovation potential when everything started, industrialization, cars, mining, things like that, were very on the top. And what's really important that we talk also about disruptive innovations. Innovations which take over an old innovation and destroy something. So disruption means always destroying. And if you destroy something, you always have also people against you. So this we learned as well. So disruption is not always a pleasure, but I think it's very important to get to the next stage. So these are kind of innovations, you might be familiar with it. Incremental, it's what we do very well in Europe. We improve things, getting things better, engines, automotives better. But a kind of Tesla isn't really involved here or developed here, not from BMW, not from Mercedes. So this disruption comes from elsewhere. And I really want to have this disruption in Europe as well. And even a disruption can get a game changer like the RNA vaccines. So I was working with the European Innovation Council because the politicians are aware that we should really foster and ensure the innovation environment is still possible in Europe. So therefore we were doing this Innovation Council where funding, awareness, scale, and talent are the most important things. And I'm a talent guy, you know, I'm always about people. So I was thinking, well, we have to get the people doing the right things, getting moving forward, getting the right spirit to the people. And the thing is, what we had in Germany, as I said, the Gründerzeit, when things were going, railways, cars, things like that. Is there a new Gründerzeit available for us in Germany? Or is there kind of entrepreneurship, a kind of lifestyle which, is possible? Especially Berlin is a place like that where you're doing very well in building companies and things like that. But is it really the thing what we want to do here? And if you just look on the capital investments, you see the US, that's the other scale, and Europe is just down. So you can really see the numbers there. Got the old numbers from 2018, but still nothing really changed in my mind. So that's really the issue we are here. And China is not there. China is even maybe more than the US meanwhile. So is it really the environment we are in that it's good to invent things here in Europe? I doubt about. So I think we have really to strengthen to foster the innovation here in Europe. So let's come to CureVac. Because this is a disruptive innovation when we discovered the RNA. COVID was not present at that time, not at all. So we didn't know about that it will be a rescue of the world from the COVID pandemic. The thing is really that the life expectancy in the world is really changed a lot. You know, so we have in the 1900 the life expectancy was a kind of equal in all the countries. But then in 2000 it changed a lot. So look at India, 65 years, Japan, 85 years. And Europe is 80 years. So it's a real discrepancy. And I think this is not the right thing because it's about medical treatments. People get older if they get treatment, medical treatment for the illnesses developing in the age. So in the 50s, there was the molecular age. So we know all the pills developed in the 50s, like aspirin, for example. And then in the 18s, there were the protein drugs. Genentech was very important at that time. It was bought by another company. And the protein drugs were very difficult to make because you need bacterials and cells to harvest these proteins. So the chemical things are quite easy, but the proteins are quite more difficult. So therefore, it takes more time to develop protein-based drugs. So, and if you just look at the vaccines, what kind of investments you do have to do for a new drug, it gets more and more costly because you have to clinical trials. And no startup can afford clinical trials. Even the big pharmas, they are really hesitant to do this clinical trial development because you have to invest a lot of money into nowhere. We don't know whether this drug will work out. If we don't know whether this drug will be effective or if it's safe. There's discussion about the COVID vaccines, about safety issues. So therefore, it's a lot of money you have to invest into innovation. And that's really something which is the problems, what we have. So we need to shorten the timelines and we need to cut costs in development to get innovations sooner into the markets. So nowadays, when we talk about AI, it's also a kind of innovation-based drug development. So you want to get innovations, or you want to get information to the body that the body is possible to cure itself. So the body should heal itself, like we do it every day. You know, every day we get some infections from bacteria, viruses, but we heal ourselves because we don't have to do anything. The body takes care of ourselves. So that's now the CureVac story. When we founded the company, we were really the first one developing RNA-based therapies. So just give this the only slide in terms of biology. I will show it today. So it's very important that the genetic information is the DNA, it's the chromosomes. So we have all the chromosomes in us, and it will remain in us. It will remain in our children. It comes from our mother and our father, so it stays with us all the time. It's a very stable material, and therefore it's very hard to work with DNA or to inject DNA into humans, because DNA will stay for a longer time. It's really stable. Then the carrier is the RNA. It's a kind of envelope. It's a kind of letter. You pack the envelope, you pack a letter in the envelope, and there's an address on it, and the RNA takes the information into the protein-making system, and then the proteins are made from that. And then the envelope is destroyed. That's the main issue from RNA, and therefore it was regarded as a kind of not usable molecule for many scientists for years, that RNA is quite unstable. So if you do lab work with RNA, RNA fades away within seconds if there are a kind of enzymes called RNases. We all have RNAs in us because RNA shouldn't be longer than it should need in the body, so therefore RNA is cleared away. But RNA is ideal for messenger, for delivering the message to the right cells in the body. So that's the RNA. It was a forgotten biomolecule, and CureVac was the first inventing the biomolecule, bringing it to the market and getting into patients. So it's a kind of software, because RNA is always the same sequence. Chemically, RNA is identical. It's just a sequence, kind of letter code on the RNA, which determines what is the RNA transcribing for, what kind of protein is made from the RNA. It can be in hormone, but it can be also in vaccine, for example. It's always the same substance, and that makes it really ideal for chemical producing or for manufacture, the GMP manufacture, so pharmaceutical manufacture, because you do always the same. You don't have to get new devices and new formulas. You can do it always the same process. So then the investors of CureVac are kind of from the information industry, from the IT industry, IT entrepreneurs. So the first one invested into us was Ingmar Hoerr, the SAP founder, and then also Bill Gates Foundation was investing into CureVac. That's quite interesting, that we are not really venture-funded company, that we are kind of IT-funded company, because it's IT what we do. So that's Tübingen, that's our home base. I studied in Tübingen, and therefore we stayed in Tübingen, and we built CureVac in Tübingen, quite of an old historical university town south of Germany. And there's a picture of me in the first office at the university when we really started from the scratch, not knowing really what we should do, also not having enough money to invest into that. So it was a kind of really beaten path, we have to say. But anyhow, we succeeded because we have seen these nice results coming from the RNA. So that's really, really, really interesting. And the thing, when we founded the company, I was thinking, how to found a company? I'm a scientist. I never did it before. So therefore, I invented a concept, getting my colleagues from the lab to a boat trip, a sailing trip to the Eastern Sea, the 1st of May, where we have a little storm, and it was a proof of the people who can really who stays calm in the storm, who didn't panic in this kind of things. And the guy standing on the left, Florian, he was the only one didn't panic in this. So therefore I said, well, Florian's the right one to start a company. So that was the first labs what we had at the university. The environment, what we see here. So really a kind of from the scratch. And our first employees, so we took responsibilities on people that we hired the first employees, paying from our payroll. So that's quite a hard thing. And that was our meeting room from the escalator here, from the elevator. And this was the first meeting from the first financing round where we get maybe 1 million, something like that, nothing more. So it was kind of a mini financing round. But then we had luck, and then we went into the technology park in Tübingen, which was there, a brand new building. Of course, since we are Germans, we also have a car there, the first company car. That's the GMP lab where the clean room exists in the very, very beginning of the building. And again, let's come back to the RNA vaccines and the RNA information. So as I said, it's really something, a language which you can talk to the body, and the body is producing the medicine whatever he needs. That's quite important to see. And you can also have a kind of printer where RNA is done in a small device, like this machine, for example. So in this we collaborate with Tesla because we were collaborating with a German company developing the automated system for us, and then it was bought by Tesla, and so then the process was disrupted, and Tesla said, no, we don't do it anymore. Then we flew to the Tesla guys to California, and we say, well, we need it, we have to rescue the world, we have to build these vaccines for the world. And then Elon Musk agreed and said, okay, that's the only thing what remains in this company. So the company is working only for Tesla and us in this way, and therefore Tesla is also somehow investor in this technology in CureVac. Yeah, and what Alan liked very much about it, that we can just have a mobile unit where we can produce these vaccines like a printer outside in the jungle, for example. So if is there any endemic coming up, any new pandemic coming up in any country, we can just deliver this kind of systems if they are ready to deliver. And these systems can help then to produce vaccines for the local markets or for the local population. You can see it like here. It's a kind of printer box where you can do the RNA production, and RNA can make antibodies and also the CTL response. So what's the future in this really bright technology? So, well, I think diagnostic is very important. So you should really understand what happens in the body and what kind of treatment the body needs. And once you have this data, you can easily go in the RNA technologies which are available. It's not only messenger RNA, there are also other RNA technologies like CRISPR RNA, siR, and microRNAs. So RNA is really a valuable molecule expressing proteins, so bringing new proteins, but also slowing down proteins and decreasing the protein level. That's also possible. That's the siRNA, for example. So this molecule can do so many, many things. What drives us from the very beginning was cancer. Cancer is a really bad disease, as we know all about, because cancer cells are kind of quite smart. So cancer cells are hiding themselves from the immune system. So therefore, there's no chance to irradiate some of the cancer cells. They just sit and delivering the wrong signals to the immune system, and the immune system is not acting anymore. So that's the reason why many cancers are sleeping in us and not really going forth. And once the immune system is depressed by something, then the cancer cells, they evolve to develop. And then they mutate again. Then they alter their signature, so they are not recognized anymore by the immune system. So that's a really, really big issue and problem. The RNA can help in that, because RNAs, you can really change the signature of the RNA all the times. And if a cancer mutates, you can adapt the RNA vaccine to this cancer. So cancer can be maybe a chronic disease. I think it's hard to heal cancer, but it can make a kind of chronic disease so that the cells, the immune cells, they always play with cancer cells, and the cancer gets, somehow entertained, not growing anymore, but defending the immune responses. So that's something that's quite interesting in my mind. The other thing is thinking about Alzheimer, this kind of diseases, so where we don't have really treatments this time. RNA might also help us in this position to get to treatment. This other thing, it's something also coming up, the aging population. We get older and older and older, but we want to stay healthy as well. We don't want to go in the clinics and stay and suffer in the clinics. So therefore, how to get really a qualitative high life in aging, that's also something you might be going in the RNA direction. So this is really in the future. We're not there, but I'm quite sure about that we will go there, that we can really stay as long as possible in a healthy status. So the disruption already has arrived because the COVID vaccines, they show to each of us how powerful this technology is. Less than 1 year to develop a vaccine, not by CureVac, by the others, it's something miracle. It wasn't available before that, before the COVID. So I think the COVID was also a booster for these new technologies, and I'm quite sure that a lot of countries and a lot of companies invest in this new technology, and that's a good thing. Because it drives in a lot of different directions, and you need a full speed in all directions to get the next approval of relevant therapeutics. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Ingmar. We have time for one question. We have one question here. Ingmar, wouldn't innovation be more fostered if companies like CureVac do not patent their technology?
That's a good question. Firstly, the first patents are already running out. So 20 years is protection, and it was 20 years ago. So the first patents are already out, and the next years. So, and there are a lot of ways to go in the RNA direction. It's just one way we are patented. The other thing is, we invested such a lot of time and money and talent in this technology. It should be also possible, at least for a couple of years, to harvest a bit from it. So therefore, I think patent protection is quite important. Otherwise, there's no innovation, because you need a protection of the innovation. But I think in this RNA field, the first patents are already gone. I don't have fear that patents will hinder new companies to go in this direction.
Thank you. And we have, someone asked, should I invest in BioNTech?
In BioNTech?
Yeah.
Yes! You should invest in the RNA. In Moderna, BioNTech, or even CureVac. RNA will be a future, I'm quite sure about. But don't nail me down, It's a kind of gamble, still a gamble. Because data need to be here, approvals need to be there, so therefore just a forward-looking thing. But I think it's a good thing to be in the field of RNA, yeah.
All right, whoever, there's a person, Andreas Richter. You got your answer there, right? And we got a couple coming in. Well, one I'm not going to add it, but it's, are you single? But whoever asks that can join later, can join Ingmar later. And we have one more, which is, how come the CureVac vaccine didn't make it to the market?
Well, it wasn't. I wasn't there at CureVac. It's technology-wise. So BioNTech and Moderna, they were using a technology where they modified some RNAs, and the modification was chemically. And I think this was something that the immune response was not that high than in CureVac. CureVac was using unmodified natural RNA, and CureVac created very high immune responses which were unspecific. So therefore, they were too high. They couldn't lower the dosage. I think that's the thing, that they could get higher dosages of BioNTech and Moderna and still a good immune response, and this was a kind of failure of CureVac. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have time for no more questions. Thank you so much, Ingmar.
Welcome. Thank you.
Round of applause.
Thanks.
Thank you.